Hey, remember that time your computer crashed because of a bad update? Annoying, right? Now imagine that, but on a global scale. That's what happened with CrowdStrike, a cybersecurity company. They pushed out a software update and boom! Systems around the world went haywire. The update was supposed to be routine, just a normal day at the office for cybersecurity software. But this update had a nasty surprise. It contained a bug, a flaw in the code, that turned their own security software against them. Talk about shooting yourself in the foot. The worst part? This wasn't just a few computers glitching out. We're talking about major organizations, hospitals, airlines, you name it. All brought to their knees by a single bad update. It was like the digital equivalent of a bad batch of cough syrup. And the biggest victims of this digital plague? Windows users. Yep, if you were rocking a Windows machine, chances are you were caught in the crossfire. More on that later. But for now, just picture the chaos. Okay, so CrowdStrike messed up, but how exactly did a simple update bring down entire systems? Well, it all boils down to a tiny piece of software called the Falcon sensor. Think of it as the eyes and ears of CrowdStrike's security system. It's supposed to detect and stop threats before they can do any damage. But this time, the Falcon sensor got a little confused. The faulty update contained a logic error, which is basically like giving your computer a set of contradictory instructions. The poor thing didn't know what to do. This confusion caused a chain reaction, leading to critical system processes on Windows machines to grind to a halt. It was like someone hit the emergency stop button on a high-speed train. Everything just locked up. Now you might be wondering, why only Windows? Don't Macs and Linux computers use CrowdStrike too? Good question. And the answer lies in the way the Falcon sensor interacts with different operating systems. More on that in a bit. Remember that global chaos we talked about? Let's get into the nitty-gritty. Airlines were among the hardest hit. Imagine thousands of passengers stranded at airports because check-in systems went dark. Flights were delayed, luggage got lost, and let's not even talk about the air miles complaints.
It was an absolute nightmare. Our systems went down, and we had no way to process check-ins or manage flights. Passengers were understandably frustrated, and it was chaos at the airports.
Hospitals, those beacons of hope and healing, weren't spared either. Patient records became inaccessible, appointments were canceled, and in some cases critical medical equipment went offline. It was like something out of a medical drama, but without the satisfying resolution.
We were in a state of emergency. Not being able to access patient records or use essential equipment put lives at risk. It was a dire situation.
Public transportation? Forget about it. Trains were stuck in stations, buses ran off schedule, and commuters were left wondering if they'd ever make it home. It was enough to make you want to walk, if only you could escape the hordes of frustrated commuters. And it wasn't just these essential services. Financial institutions, government agencies, even your favorite online shopping sites all felt the burn.
The economic impact was significant. Transactions couldn't be processed, and businesses lost millions in revenue. It was a stark reminder of how fragile our reliance on technology can be.
The CrowdStrike outage was a stark reminder of just how reliant we are on technology and how fragile that reliance can be. Now let's talk about those smug Mac and Linux users for a second. While Windows users were pulling their hair out, they were sipping their lattes, enjoying the smooth sailing of their unaffected systems. But why the difference? Remember that Falcon sensor we talked about? Well, it turns out the way it interacts with Windows is different from how it interacts with macOS and Linux. It's like speaking different languages. The faulty logic in the update only affected the Windows version of the sensor. Think of it this way. Imagine sending a text message written in English to someone who only speaks Spanish. They wouldn't understand a word, right? That's essentially what happened with macOS and Linux. The faulty instructions were meaningless to them. This time, Mac and Linux users dodged a bullet. But it's a good reminder that no operating system is perfect, and that cybersecurity is a constantly evolving game of cat and mouse.